Let's talk about something tough, something really important that a lot of us go through. The kind of hidden pain you feel when you've overestimated a relationship. It happens all the time, but knowing how to deal with it, that's the hard part.
And it all starts with this question, right? A question that can seriously keep you up at night. Why is it that when you're the most sincere, when you give your all, when you pour your heart out, you so often end up feeling disappointed? It's a special kind of hurt. And today, we're going to get to the bottom of it.
But here's the big twist. The solution isn't about figuring out how to change other people. It's not about becoming cynical or closing yourself off. Nope. This is all about taking a journey inward to understand ourselves better. And that, right there, is how you protect your peace. So first up, let's just validate that feeling. It's real and it has a name. We're going to call it the sincerity trap, and I think it's something we've all fallen into one time or another. And wow, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? This gets to the absolute core of so many problems. We go through life thinking everyone is playing by the same rules, using the same rule book. But the truth is, a lot of the time, we're not even in the same sport. And this right here shows you exactly what that looks like. On one side, you've got your yardstick. You're measuring things with sincerity, with emotion. You give unconditionally, and you're maybe hoping for a lifelong companion. But then, on the other side, you've got someone with a totally different yardstick. They're looking at interest, at benefit. They're thinking in terms of a balanced exchange, and they might see you as a temporary fellow traveler. Now, here's the key. Neither one is necessarily wrong, but when these two completely different ways of measuring a relationship collide, disappointment is pretty much guaranteed.
So, okay, if that's the trap, where does all this pain really come from? Well, that brings us to the root cause, what a lot of ancient wisdom traditions call the pain of attachment.
Attachment. The idea here, coming from Buddha's philosophy, is that our suffering is caused by clinging, holding on too tight. It's when we take what was always meant to be just a part of our journey, a chapter in our book, and we try to force it to be the entire story. We basically mistake a fellow traveler for the destination itself. And here's the real kicker. People change. Priorities shift. Life happens. That's not the problem. The problem, the source of our suffering, is our rock-solid expectation that they won't change. It's our own resistance to the natural flow of life that actually causes the pain. Now, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. It has real-world consequences. There's an ancient text, the I Ching, that talks about this universal law of balance. And believe me, it applies to our relationships just as much as it does to anything else in the universe. All right, stick with me here because this is fascinating. The principle is basically this. Anything, any force, when you push it to its absolute extreme, will flip and create its opposite. It's a cosmic balancing act. Think about it. The brightest day eventually leads to night. It's a natural law. And here's how that plays out between people. When you are pouring out kindness, giving, that's your yang energy, and you push it too far, it becomes excessive. And what happens? It doesn't actually draw the other person closer, it creates the opposite reaction. They feel this pressure, this weight, and that yin energy pops up as they start pulling away, creating distance, trying to find balance again. Which brings us to something that feels, completely backwards at first. It's the paradox of overgiving. The idea that sometimes the more you try to help, the more damage you can accidentally do to a relationship. There was this incredible story about it. You have this kind-hearted teacher who just endlessly supports a student in need, gives them everything. But instead of being grateful, the student starts to pull back, and one day just vanishes. It's only years later that the teacher has this light bulb moment. His constant, overwhelming kindness hadn't been a gift. It had become a burden. It had stripped the student of their own dignity, their own sense of being able to stand on their own 2 feet. And that's the whole point, right? The goal of truly helping someone isn't to make them dependent on you. It's to empower them, to help them find their own strength. The second our giving starts to make someone feel small or forever in our debt, it stops being help. Okay, so we've looked at the problem from all sides. We've got the sincerity trap, the pain of attachment, this paradox of overgiving. Now for the million-dollar question. What do we do about it? Well, the answer is to stop focusing on them and start focusing on you.
And we come back to this ancient wisdom. The path forward isn't trying harder to get other people to see your point of view. No, the path is to work on yourself, to strengthen your own core so that you are no longer so easily shaken by what other people do or don't do. The real work is always, always internal.
So how do you actually do that? Well, here's a start. First, just stop. Stop trying to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Next, get curious about your own feelings. When you get that emotional reaction, just observe it without judging it. Also, set boundaries. Protect your energy. It's not selfish, it's necessary. And this one's huge. Find your stability inside yourself, not by chasing other people's approval. And finally, this might be the most important one, reframe sincerity. Your sincerity is for you. It's your personal practice. It's not a transaction where you're owed something in return.
So where does all this lead? This whole journey of self-cultivation. It leads to something amazing, something we all want. The incredible freedom you feel when you finally truly let go.
You know that metaphor about holding sand? It is just perfect for this. We've all done it, right? We feel someone slipping away, and our first instinct is to clench our fist, to hold on tighter, to pursue them, to demand things. And what happens? The sand just slips through our fingers even faster. But then, think about what happens when you just open your palm, when you relax your grip. The sand can rest there. What's meant to stay, stays. Letting go is not an act of defeat. It's actually an act of incredible strength. It's about making space for things to be as they are, without you trying to force them. And if you only take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. The highest form of wisdom isn't knowing how to get what you want, it's knowing when to stop. To stop pursuing what's moving away, to stop demanding what isn't freely given, and to stop overgiving to the point where you lose your own balance.
So I'm going to leave you with a question to think about, a personal one. This isn't just theory, it's about your actual life. Which relationship, right now, are you ready to stop overestimating? Because letting go of those giant expectations, even just for that one relationship, might be the key to finding the peace you've been looking for all along.